Well, they're calling it gray divorce, couples splitting up after the age of 50. There's plenty of issues when couples split up later in life. And for a closer look, here's CTV's chief financial commentator, Lovett-Reid. Good morning.
Good morning. So here's the good news. We're living longer, healthier, and more productive lives. Here's the bad news. Sometimes some people wake up and think, I'm not spending the rest of my life with you. And I know, it seems sort of like one of those things, and it doesn't happen overnight. At a time, actually, when you look at younger people getting married, they are staying married for a longer period, and according to Pew Research, those over the age of 50, typically baby boomers who are now empty nesters, they, for a long period of time have sort of raised children, drifted apart, and they wake up and they say, hey, you know what, this is over. And so it's not just the equalization of the assets at this point, because sure, that's probably the easy way to go. It's all of a sudden finding that you're living with income greatly reduced, and all of a sudden your living expenses are, one person instead of two, and that's what you've known all your life.
How disruptive is it to a retirement strategy that a couple has shared for a couple of decades and then they go their separate ways?
Oh, it's hugely disruptive. There's no question about it. And I think anyone at any point in time should know how much money they have coming in, what their liabilities are, what their expenses are going to be. But then you also get the emotional assets, the ones, of course, around the family home that you may be taking on more than you can. And according to, and I've got to make sure I say his name right, Rick Peticca, he's with Shulman Law Firm, he says, recognizing that you're not going to be able to spend the rest of your life with your spouse, all of a sudden, not only do you have children to consider, but you've got grandchildren as well. And the propensity of people divorcing later in life even grows. It goes from 5 to 10% since the 1990s. But when you've already been married before, apparently it's a lot easier to say, I'm not going to stick it out if it's not working out.
Do most of these people get remarried? Is that what happens? Or are there any typical mistakes that people make?
I don't think that they actually acknowledge them. I think in many cases, though, when you're on your first marriage, second marriage, and sometimes your third marriage, Shulman Law Firm also said people find them distasteful, but contracts, negotiations going in, prenups, they are an absolute must because, back to your point, you've accumulated some wealth.
What's your advice to the partner in a marriage who has not done most of the work, who has not had the most advanced working career after a divorce?
I do think I think at any point in a relationship you don't abdicate responsibility to someone else. You've got to be involved. Doesn't mean you have to actually do the physical execution of trades, that sort of thing, but you've got to stay on top of it. You always need to know because you just don't know.
Thanks a great deal, Patty.
Okay.
That's Lovett-Reid. You can check out Patty's full blog on our website. That's bnn.ca.